Bloggo's POW.
Right, so at last I'm going to have a look at the Psikyo Shooting Stars collections, Alpha and Bravo. I got these a couple of weeks ago. They arrived just as Play Expo kicked off, so that got in the way, and then Hospital got in the way, and well, you know, life gets in the way. However, here we are, let's have a look at them. And they're very nice special editions. They come in decent quality boxes for a change. One thing that pisses me off is the special edition that doesn't come in a decent box. The outer slip case is removable, and inside you will find, well, you'll find the game, you'll find a soundtrack CD, well, a 3-disc soundtrack CD of the soundtracks of the games, which is really pretty impressive, very comprehensive, and also some really nice postcards of some of the artwork, which is also really nice. I do like the way these are presented, and they're very good. I am a sucker for video game soundtracks, as I've said before, and these really do hit the mark there. Absolutely excellent stuff. But the question is, what are the games like? Let's take a look. So we have Psikyo Shooting Stars Alpha first. So we've got Strikers 1945, Strikers 1945 2 and 3, Soul Divide and Dragon Blaze and Zero Gunner 2. Let's have a quick start with Strikers 1945. So yeah, Strikers 1945, standard sort of looking upward scoring shoot 'em up. You know, 1943 sort of mould. If you've played Sonic Wings or Aero Fighters, whatever you want to call it, it's a similar sort of game. World War II stylings, so you've got some a selection of World War II aircraft to fly and a selection of World War II aircraft to shoot down. However, what you'll notice is that some of the enemy weaponry is pretty much fantastical. Pretty much everything transforms into a robot at some point, and I think you'll see that's something of a ongoing theme with the Alpha collection. Yeah, it's very good, but there's another 2 games like this on the compilation, so let's move along to one of those. So Strikers 1945 2, still World War II based. Now, a bit of a graphical downgrade if you ask me. It uses these pre-rendered digitized sprites to a point. Doesn't look quite as sharp as the first game. I think the sound's better on it, I think the music's better, but it is a little bit jarring to go from some nice sprite work to this sort of muddy looking pre-rendered sprite nonsense. As you'd expect, the bosses all transform into some form of robot thing, so keeping up with the tradition there. Still, it's a solid enough shooter, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it if you like this kind of game. So Strikers 1945 Part 3 is not set in World War II, so I'm not sure why it's called Strikers 1945, aside from the obvious brand recognition maybe, who knows. But you could take control of post-Vietnam War aircraft. So you've got a Harrier, a Phantom, an F-22, and it's the same kind of game. It's still really good. It's not going to win you over if you're not into upward scoring shooters, but if you are, like I am, you know, your quid's in there. And of course, the end of level bosses transform into robot things again, so, you know, that's another score, I guess. Next up is Soul Divide, so not an upward scrolling shooter, but a sideways scrolling shooter. Now this really does look poor. I mean, it plays okay, don't get me wrong, but the graphics are really digitized. They look absolutely dreadful. I do believe this game came out on the Saturn and the PlayStation as well, I think. I know there's a version on PS2, but it really doesn't look good, and it really does put me off playing it somewhat. The controls are pretty unwieldy at times. You've got a melee attack as well as your shooting attacks. just feels so clunky, and not one I would wholeheartedly recommend, I'm afraid. Next up we've got Dragon Blaze, back to upward scrolling shoot 'em up action. And this one's pretty good. It really is Strikers 1945 with a fantasy sort of paint job to it, but I'm not going to complain. It's got a lot of interesting looking enemies. It's really pretty graphics, really nice sound. Yeah, nothing really to dislike here unless you absolutely hate upward scrolling shoot 'em ups, in which case why are you buying this? And the last game on the compilation is Zero Gunner 2. This was released on the Dreamcast, and I do believe this is the first release of it since the Dreamcast version. And oh my, this looks good. I mean, the Dreamcast version looked good, but that they've smoothed this out. It really looks spectacular in places. There's lots of detail going on here. And of course, as you'd expect, the end level bosses transform into robots. But it's a really good rendition of this game. I'm really pleased with the slight graphical overhaul it's gone through. It looks very clean and sharp. It's very, very good, and I would highly recommend playing this first out of all the games on here. Okay, so what about Psikyo Shooting Stars Bravo? Let's have a look, see what games are on here. We've got Samurai Aces, Tengai, Samurai Aces 3, Gunbird, Gunbird 2, and Gunbarich. So let's have a look at these. So Samurai Aces is it's an upward scrolling shoot 'em up. But this time the Samurai Aces games are based in sort of feudal ancient Japan with some crazy special weapons and unusual magic things. It reminds me of Robo LS if you've played that on the Mega CD. So, you know, it's pretty good. Again, it's not going to win you over if you're not a big fan of upward scrolling shoot 'em ups. The bosses do the transforming thing too, but not to the same extent. Next game is Tengai. Now, Tengai is the second in the Samurai Aces series, but it's a sideways scrolling shoot 'em up, which is a bit of a change of pace. It's pretty good. It plays similarly to the others with similar power-ups and similar magic attacks, still set in feudal Japan. But it's a bit of a change, which is nice. Of course, this is where things started to get a bit, well, should we say, booby with one of the main characters. This is followed up with Samurai Aces 3. Now, Samurai Aces 3 Sengoku Canon takes the second game and it goes in a weird direction with polygon style backgrounds, pre-rendered sprites, and it all looks a bit weird. I don't actually like the way it looks so much. It looks very bland in places. It's almost like they tried to do for this what I suppose Zero Gunner did for the Strikers series, but it just doesn't really work. It looks really dated. And to be honest, it's not as much fun to play as the other two Samurai Aces games, so I can't really recommend this one. But luckily you've got Gunbird. Gunbird is great. It's an upward scrolling shoot 'em up, but it's really nice. There's so much detail to this, more so than the first Samurai Aces game. And I really do enjoy it. It's really, really good. But what could be better than Gunbird? Well, I suppose Gunbird 2. Gunbird 2 is excellent. It's really good. It's, again, nicely detailed, fun to play. It might actually just win over people who don't actually like vertically scrolling shooting whatsoever, because it's just so well made and so charming, and it's really, really good. Let's see what else we got. So the last game on here isn't a shoot 'em up, really. It's called Gunbarich, and it's one of the Gunbird games. It's in that series, but it's a strange mixture of pinball and breakout. and it's okay. The only thing I don't like about this is you've got a time limit as well, and I don't think a breakout style game lends itself too well to having a time limit. So I'm not sure about this one. I've played it a few times, I've played a few levels. It's got end of level bosses as well, which is a nice little touch for this kind of game. But don't know, jury's still out on this one, and probably won't go back to it very often. So there was the Psikyo Shooting Stars Collections Alpha and Raro. On the whole, pretty pleased with those. I do like my shoot 'em ups, I do like my video game soundtracks, and this delivers in both respects. So there's a lot to enjoy here, a lot of gameplay. You know, have a look, see what you think. It's not going to win you over if you don't like shooters, but if you do like shooters, probably could do a lot worse than this. Give it a go.
Here, subscribe or naff off!
Ian Skulldragon, inventor of whatever the fuck that is.